Hello, ma'am. Good day. So today I'm going to tackle those module that we already tackled. So we have the module 1, 2, and 3, in which the module 1 talks about the language and communication. The module 2 talks about the modes of communication. The module 3 talks about the intercultural communication. Hello, Miss. So the first module that I'm going to tackle today is the module 1, in which the language and communication. So the language and communication, that was the group studies how people use language as specific discourse content to share information with others and to persuade or otherwise affect them. So that was a language and communication. And we have the other one, that the language and communication. Language is a medium of communication that help us experience or expressing and conveying our thoughts, feelings, emotion of two individuals. So, moreover, language depends on verbal or non-verbal communication or code. So, in other words, language is considered the prime tool of communication. Okay. Then I have there the importance of the language and communication, that the language is the vital part of human connection. Okay, so although all specific have their ways of communicating individual. Okay, so human are the only ones that have mastered cognitive language. Okay, cognitive language communication. So language allow us to share our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings with others. So it has the power to build societies, or yes, societies, but also themselves. Okay, that was the language and communication about. Now let's talk about the module number 2, in which the mode in communication. So mode in communication, or mode of communication, is the mean of communication. No? It's a mean of communicating, the medium through which communication is processed. Okay, so there are three modes of communication, in which the interpretive communication, interpersonal communication, and presentational communication. And we have also there that the mode of communication means interpersonal communication involving conversational, speaking and listening, or sign exchange. So, the interpretive reading, learning, or viewing. So, and presentational communication shown by creating message. So, for the reader, okay, so listener or viewer through writing, speaking, and signing. And I have there the type of communication. We have the verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, listen communication, and visual communication. So that was the mood communication. And now let's go for the module 3, in which the intercultural communication. So at this time, the module 3, there is a lesson 1 to 5. So the lesson 1 talks about communication and globalization. The lesson 2 talks about local and global communication and multicultural setting. And the lesson 3 talks about variety and registered of spoken and written language. Lesson 4, exploring text, difference, culture. The lesson 5, coping with the intercultural communication. Now let's talk about the intercultural communication. That It is discipline that studies communication across different culture and social groups on how culture affect communication. Okay, so the intercultural communication refer to the communication between people from two different culture. So intercultural communication is a symbolic and interpretive, transactional, contextual process in which the people from different culture share the meaning about the intercultural communication. And now let's talk the lesson one in which the communication and globalization. So this communication globalization study, the global communication examine how information is exchanged so across geographical and social the divides. Okay, so as well as how communication both impact and is influenced by culture. Okay, so like impact culture, no? So how impact and influenced by culture, by politics, media, the economics, health, and relation in the age of globalization. Now, this communication globalization allow people to express themselves, leading the social and psychological well-being. So, the globalization is about the interconnectedness of people and business across the world that eventually leads to global cultural, politics, and economic integration. So that was the communication and globalization about. Now for the lesson 2 talks about the local and global communication and multicultural settings. So this talks about that local communication is the term used to describe way to connect, share, relate, and mobilize across geographic, political, economic, social, and cultural divides. So it redefines soft and hard power as well as information power and diplomacy in way not considered by traditional theorists and international region. So the difference between the local communication and the global communication, that the local communication is delineated by social integration, so face-to-face interaction or interaction between individual physical presence. So in the other hand, the global communication is the function of system integration or interaction between individual away from each other in time or space or vote them. So this local and global communication, effective internal communication is the culturally diverse organization means being able to share and exchange idea based in mutual awareness, respect, and credibility. And now let's go for the lesson 3 talks about the varieties register of spoken and written language. So we have type of varieties and registered spoken language. We have the casual, intimate, the informal language register, the formal language register. So let's go for the casual. So this time, casual used by speaking to a friends or family member. Then the intimate used by speaking to the love of private conversation. So for the formal language register, this is appropriate for professional writing or letter that will be given to a superior. So while the other hand, the informal language register This is appropriate writing to a friends and family or relatives. So that was all about in lesson 3. Now let's talk about the lesson 4. Let's talk about the exploring text different cultures. So this means that multicultural literature serve as a powerful tools in enabling students to gain a better understanding, okay, of both their own culture, the culture of others. So through this deeper knowledge, relation can be strengthened and bridging the gap between students from diverse cultural backgrounds. So that's all about the lesson 4. Now let's go for the lesson 5, talks about coping with the intercultural communication. So this talks about seek to understand the difference in how people from a variety of culture act, so communicated and perceive the world around them. So culture has a large impact on how people conduct business. So therefore, the cultural implementations are critical for succeeding in an international context. So that is all about the module 3, intercultural communication. Thank you and good day.